Andretti's entrance approved. The FIA has recently granted approval for Andretti's entry as the 11th team into Formula One, yet Formula One remains reluctant to acknowledge this development. Other team leaders previously expressed their doubts, intensifying the ongoing struggle between the FIA and Formula One. Nonetheless, the inclusion of Andretti's Cadillac in the F1 paddock could offer several advantages, potentially enhancing the entertainment value for viewers. Formula One has moved a step closer to welcoming an 11th team following the FIA's approval of Andretti Cadillac's entry. However, the situation has also plunged into a less ideal scenario. A definitive approval or outright rejection would have expedited the resolution of this year-long matter. Instead, Formula One finds itself navigating a murky middle ground. An endorsed applicant has formally secured the FIA's support, which might suggest to many that an 11th team is on the horizon. Yet there will soon commence potentially fruitless commercial discussions with the commercial rights holder, prolonging the entire process further. It might ultimately lead us to question the purpose of this entire endeavor, if the chances of a favorable outcome were never truly plausible. Furthermore, we must consider the potential complications that may arise, such as protracted legal disputes if Andretti Cadillac faces rejection on commercial grounds. Normally, the prospect of a new Formula One team is met with excitement, intrigue, and anticipation. However, this situation deviates significantly from the typical process of evaluating potential entrants. From the outset, there has been a noticeable lack of cohesion between Formula One and the FIA, resulting in two distinct stakeholders holding contrasting positions. This divergence in approach did not occur when Haas was granted entry into Formula One, nor when 4 teams were awarded slots on the grid for the 2010 season. When the previous teams received approval, it was a straightforward process. It was clear and well understood by all parties involved: teams, stakeholders, and spectators. However, in this instance, only one team out of a group of 4 carefully assessed candidates has been suggested to advance to the next stage of a protracted procedure that is expected to take several months to reach a conclusion. This decision comes amid a backdrop of senior Formula One figures expressing skepticism and virtually every existing team signaling their reluctance to endorse grid expansion. Undoubtedly, the discourse surrounding this matter has muddled the situation considerably. Those under the impression that FIA approval was the sole requirement for Andretti's entry might be in for an unpleasant surprise in the coming months. Some individuals believe that Formula One only needs to complete a few formalities at this point. Others are of the opinion that Formula One would be reluctant to risk public backlash or legal disputes by rejecting Andretti, particularly with a company like General Motors involved. In essence, there is an abundance of misinformation, presumptions, and speculations, leading to a significant risk of a complicated and convoluted outcome. Regrettably, there is a dearth of concrete facts in the midst of the FIA's recent approval of Andretti's application. This situation has been inevitable ever since FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem formally initiated the process, setting it in motion with unstoppable momentum. Every step in this process had to be executed with precision. The FIA was tasked with evaluating applicants based on established criteria and granting approval to those who met the requirements, even if it meant potentially conflicting with Formula One. Now, Formula One must meticulously review the comprehensive Andretti Cadillac proposal and make a decision that, if it remains steadfast, could lead to the alienation and frustration of many individuals. Moreover, it's possible that the verdict may arrive closer to the start of the 2024 season than the conclusion of the 2023 season. This delay is due to Formula One gaining access to previously undisclosed details, necessitating an extended period for thorough assessment, discussion, and resolution. The protracted timeline unfolding before us was as predictable as the conflict that became apparent several months ago. This phase isn't merely the culmination of the application process, it represents the next stage in a multifaceted and contentious deadlock. But then again, why would Andretti want to be the 11th team? In assessing the potential addition of Andretti to Formula One, Toto Wolff, Mercedes Motorsport boss, has raised concerns about the value another team would bring to the grid. Despite Andretti's partnership with Cadillac through General Motors, which involves two major industry names, team principals continue to question the benefits for both themselves and Formula One as a whole. Wolff emphasized the need to evaluate what Andretti could contribute to the sport, especially from a financial perspective. He highlighted that if an original equipment manufacturer, OEM, or a multinational group were to join Formula One and demonstrate a substantial financial commitment to activation and marketing, it would offer a different value proposition for all other teams. James Vowles, the Williams team boss, echoed these sentiments, emphasizing that while they are open to the sport's growth, any new entrant must contribute to the financial success of Formula One. He emphasized the importance of understanding how Andretti and Cadillac could promote the sport's growth, in what manner, and the magnitude of that growth. Teams will continue to scrutinize this issue because even if Andretti brings value to the sport by potentially expanding its global audience and attracting more sponsors, the introduction of an 11th team could dilute the prize pool. The question of whether Andretti's entry into Formula One is justified due to concerns of team greed was raised by Red Bull team principal Christian Horner earlier this year. Under the current Formula One Concord agreement, prize money is distributed among all teams on the grid, unlike the previous practice of allocating it only to the top 10 teams. As a result, Andretti's inclusion will immediately reduce the earnings of existing teams, and if they perform well and move up the grid, the impact on earnings could be even more significant. Horner pointed out that the key issue boils down to who will bear the financial burden. Teams may be resistant to the idea of sharing their earnings or reducing their payments to accommodate a new entrant. McLaren and Alpine, the two teams supporting Andretti's entry, either have a US partnership with them or plan to supply them with an engine. Meanwhile, the other 8 teams are questioning why they should diminish their share of the prize fund. Fred Vasseur shares the viewpoint that finances are central to the debate. He is hesitant to see the existing team brands diluted, especially considering the challenges they faced during the global economic crisis. Vasseur believes that any new team entering the sport should have compelling reasons to do so. To address the financial aspect of the argument, there has been a proposal to raise the anti-dilution fee from $200 million to $600 million. This fee, paid by all new entrants, is then distributed among the existing teams to offset some of their losses. Formula One CEO Domenicali has expressed openness to tripling the anti-dilution fee, acknowledging the significant change in the sport's value since the fee was initially set at $200 million. With Domenicali aligned with the majority of team principals on this issue, Formula One and the FIA appear to be heading for another clash. Accusations of not having Formula One's best interests at heart or potentially harming the sport are expected to garner attention in this ongoing dispute. This outcome was likely from the outset. Andretti is an established top-tier motorsports team with strong commercial partnerships, making the FIA's approval unsurprising. However, it's crucial to recognize that in recent years, the decision of who joins the Formula One grid doesn't rest with the FIA alone. Understanding the ownership structure of Formula One is essential. The FIA's approval serves primarily to prevent potential legal action from Andretti. It signifies that if a spot becomes available, Andretti has undergone scrutiny and is deemed a suitable contender, fulfilling the FIA's regulatory requirements. Nonetheless, Formula One and Formula One management, FOM, have been reluctant to embrace an 11th team. Andretti faces the challenge of convincing Formula One that their presence would benefit every team and the sport itself more than sticking with the existing 10 teams. This justification has always been the crux of the matter. Andretti recognizes this challenge, which is why they partnered with GM. It's a way of asserting that they bring something unique to the table. In the context of Formula One team valuations approaching billion-dollar figures, making them some of the world's most valuable sports teams, it's understandable that existing teams want to safeguard their values. Andretti must demonstrate that expanding from 10 to 11 teams would increase their combined worth to, for example, $1.2 billion with higher revenues. Currently, it appears that both the teams and Formula One anticipate a contrary outcome. The ultimate verdict on this matter will likely emerge in a few months, revealing which perspective proves accurate. I believe that Formula One and the team principals have mostly engaged in rhetoric and grandiose statements. It's simple to voice disagreement when there isn't a formal and highly publicized entry into the sport. However, the situation has changed with the presence of Andretti's entry, officially approved by the FIA. In my opinion, it will be considerably more challenging for Formula One to prevent Andretti from entering the sport now. If Andretti's bid aligns with all the established criteria, refusing them entry could potentially result in costly legal battles and significant negative publicity in the United States. This approach risks undermining future profitability in the American market. It appears that Formula One is inclined to prolong the decision-making process, aiming to create difficulties and limit Andretti's preparation time for the 2026 season.